Tantor Audio presents SEAL Survival Guide, a Navy SEAL's Secrets to Surviving Any Disaster, by Cade Courtley, narrated by R.C. Bray. Introduction. As they say in Washington, D.C., if we want a mission done right, we SEAL it. What enables someone to carry a 250-pound man up 3 flights of stairs while taking enemy fire, or spend 6 sleepless days and nights running around with a fractured right leg? What allows a man to break through a door, knowing full well there is someone with an assault rifle on the other side trying to kill him? How is it possible to endure continuous physical abuse and confinement in a 3-by-3-foot concrete box without food for more than a week and finish with a smile? Or not only survive exhausting days and nights of sub-zero temperatures during a blinding blizzard, but thrive, coming out harder and stronger? How does one swim 7 miles in frigid, white-capped ocean waters? What makes one voluntarily return time and time again to a war zone? Essentially, what makes a Navy SEAL? There are currently 9 SEAL teams and approximately 2,500 active-duty U.S. Navy SEALs. President John F. Kennedy created the SEALs in 1962, announcing his plans to do so during the same historic speech in which he promised to put a man on the moon. The president wanted specialized units to handle extremely dangerous and covert operations and become the elite force for unconventional warfare techniques. Since the creation of the Navy SEALs, they have been involved in thousands of combat missions, first making their name in Vietnam. There, SEAL Teams 1 and 2 accomplished an amazing kill ratio of 200 to 1. SEALs were so feared by enemy forces that they were simply known as the Men with Green Faces. SEALs also served in Grenada, Panama, Somalia, Bosnia, Afghanistan, and Iraq, in addition to conducting numerous highly classified operations in countries not mentioned. Recent notable operations include freeing the hijacked captain of the Maersk, Alabama, the rescue of American hostages in Somalia, and the killing of Osama bin Laden. Mr. President, you got your money's worth. SEAL is an acronym for Sea, Air, Land. The idea was to forge a military unit that could operate effectively in all environments. Prior to the formation of the SEALs, there were numerous specialized military units, such as the Scouts and Raiders, formed in 1942, 9 months after the attack on Pearl Harbor. These guys were trained for stealth and conducted pre-assault assessments of beachhead landing areas, marked targets, and did whatever it took to make a mission by other forces more successful. There were also the Naval Combat Demolition Units and the Underwater Demolition Teams, UDTs, which many remember as the classic frogmen of World War II. These were amphibious units that went in prior to conventional battles to clear beach obstacles, cut underwater enemy cables, or rig buoys, bridges, or enemy ships with explosives. They were responsible for blowing out fortified German gaps during the Omaha beach landing, for example, which ultimately led to victory for the Allies. In addition, the Office of Strategic Services had a group called Operational Swimmers, which more closely resembled current SEAL operations. These men were dropped by parachute behind enemy lines for guerrilla warfare or donned the first flexible diving masks and fins to attack by sea. The SEALs were formed to create a military force that combined all these varying branches, capable of operating in all environments, whether it be the Arctic tundra, the jungles of the tropics, the desert, or the ocean. SEALs are trained to adapt to any variable and carry out everything from top-secret missions to conventional warfare. SEALs perform the most dangerous and oftentimes unimaginable tasks, and they do so with uncompromising principles and resolute loyalty. To be eligible to become a SEAL, you must be a U.S. citizen, pass a basic physical, have good eyesight, and be under 28 years old. If you score well on the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test and at a minimum swim 500 yards in under 12.5 minutes, do 42 push-ups in 2 minutes and 58 sit-ups in 2 minutes, and run 1.5 miles in under 11.5 minutes, although much higher scores are required for serious consideration, then you might get a chance to attend training. Only 1 out of 1,000 who want to become a SEAL gets the opportunity to attend BUDS, Basic Underwater Demolition SEAL Training, the 26-week training process of becoming a SEAL, and of those, less than 15% will make it to graduation. Once trainees have completed BUDS, the training continues with the 28-week course of advanced training called SQT, SEAL Qualification Training, which teaches them all of the skill sets they will need to officially become a Navy SEAL. The guys who thought it would be cool to be a SEAL because they saw the teams in the movies or wanted to use their SEAL status to pick up chicks last about 2 days. The ones who make it endure the toughest military training in the world and possess traits in common that include persistence, dedication, and tenacity. Quite simply, these men are hard. But it's much more than that. These new SEALs then report to one of the following SEAL teams. Teams 1, 3, 5, and 7 are based in Coronado, California. SEAL Teams 2, 4, 8, and 10 are located in Little Creek, Virginia. Once they join their team, they will spend another 18 months training with their platoon prior to a 6-month deployment. So, if you are lucky enough to not get injured and make it straight through training, it will be at least 31 months before you are a combat-ready Navy SEAL. As you might notice, I didn't mention SEAL Team 6, since before the Bin Laden kill, this was a theoretically non-existent unit, and no one was to know of its missions or activities. It was our secret. So much for OPSEC, Operational Security. Nevertheless, to be chosen for SEAL Team 6, a SEAL must serve for 6 years on other teams, and then they'll have the opportunity to screen for this crew of all-stars. When I entered BUDS, I was determined not to quit. I convinced myself there was no backup plan. I would graduate or die trying, even if it took me 9 months longer than usual to get through it, since I had broken my leg 3 times and suffered a fractured skull. I spent the entire 6 days of Hell Week running on a partially fractured right leg. To say my comfort zone was pushed with every step I took is an understatement. I did finally graduate as a lieutenant, and everything I learned and endured during training has served me well and kept me alive. I tell you this not to boast. Those of us who have served in the teams are hesitant to list our trials. I cite these examples to validate that what I have to offer comes from very real and current experiences. The information in this book doesn't come from an internet expert or someone out of the game since Vietnam. Rather, it comes from someone who has been there, done that, and truly survived. For a Navy SEAL, achieving and maintaining maximum physical fitness is a basic job requirement. I've spent the better part of my life working hard to stay at peak physical levels for mission success. But I will never forget the strongest muscle of all, and that is the brain. It is the foundation on which everything else is built. In this book, I will teach you the true secret techniques used by Navy SEALs and demonstrate how to significantly enhance your odds of survival in any situation. The world we live in is truly dangerous, but the intent of this book is to empower. It will give you the tools you need to survive in almost any situation, especially the most deadly. No one needs to become a reclusive survival fanatic or live in a paranoid state. We must all be prepared and vigilant, but living scared is not living. I became a Navy SEAL to protect our country and defend our rights and freedom. Be confident in yourself and the new skills you will learn, and then go on and enjoy every day of your life. This will take some work, but everything worthwhile does. Staying alive, I'll assume, is the goal of all of us. These are the twin promises of this book. A. You will learn how to gain the mental and physical abilities that will enable you to survive a crisis when the time comes. B. You will learn skills and techniques to give you confidence and freedom in the world now, even if you never are faced with a life-threatening situation. It's time to harden up. Many indulge in lifestyles without discipline, preferring the path of least resistance. The overall attitude of the population is geared towards seeking self-centered comfort and convenience. Obesity is at an all-time high, and the trivial distractions that surround us, from video games to our infatuation with trash TV, seem to be designed to make us weaker as a nation, and incidentally, unprepared. No matter your age or the physical condition you are in right now, this is the time to begin a new regimen and develop a mindset that will turn you into a survivor who can live with confidence and freedom in this changing world. The world is a dangerous place, and getting more so with each passing day. Yet the United States is as soft as it's ever been. It's not a question of if, but when the next man-made or natural disaster will occur. I don't say this lightly to posture as some crackpot doomsayer, but to give you the facts. If you want to make believe that all is just fine, then keep your head in the sand and put this book away right now. You'll get nothing out of it. The cold, hard reality is that the vast majority of people are simply not equipped to successfully deal with impending catastrophes which will claim hundreds or even thousands of lives. In addition, you must be prepared to face personal dangers from crimes, accidents, and potentially fatal mishaps which are increasing and will surely get worse in these perilous times. I look forward to the day when this is no longer true. Until then, I will do everything in my power to teach you how to be a survivor and not a statistic. In this guide, I will provide a step-by-step plan for action to keep you alive during the most deadly circumstances. When the unthinkable happens, you will have a Navy SEAL as your personal guide. Be a survivor, not a statistic. Part 1. SEAL Mindset and Survival Psychology. Expand your comfort zone. You know your current comfort zone, defined as the daily routine you do and the things that make you feel secure, content, and in control. However, most of our daily comfort zone rituals will leave us unprepared to deal with even the smallest discomfort and will certainly render us incapable of handling an emergency or life-threatening challenge. Challenge your limits and daily routines. Push the boundaries of your comfort zone at least once a day. There are so many opportunities to do this without attempting all at once to become an ultra-marathon runner, although this is a great goal. You must first expand your mind to the possibilities of doing certain things that you previously believed unachievable. Start with small steps and note progress by keeping track. Make a list and check off all the things you do each day to challenge yourself, both physically and mentally. Ultimately, by expanding your comfort zone, you will increase both your physical and mental toughness, which are the keys to survival. I believe that if you first focus on changing small things, you can begin the process of thinking differently and ultimately achieve the goal of acquiring the SEAL mindset of survival, which will allow you to endure anything. You will quickly see that doing things differently makes you think differently. Observe your current routine, and then start by doing simple things another way. For example, use the stairs instead of the elevator to take you up only a few floors. Climb at a reasonable pace, and know that when you reach the top you have just expanded your comfort zone. When in your car, don't fight to get the space closest to the store, but purposely look for one that will make you walk. Force yourself to meet 3 new people and learn at least 5 things about them. If you have to balance your checkbook, leave the calculator in the desk and make your brain complete this task. Open up the contact list in your phone and memorize 5 numbers each day. You must seek out ways to expand both mind and body. Start paying attention to how you think about things. If you expand your comfort zone in this manner, you will be better able to do the rest. If you already exercise or jog, for example, increase your distance or speed. Run that extra mile, or run it a minute faster. Do that 1 additional push-up. Try holding your breath for a minute, and then try 2. When in the shower, after scrubbing down with the warm water you usually prefer, finish the last 30 seconds with a blast of cold water. By pushing your physical limits, you are also forcing your brain to expand its comfort boundaries, thus gradually making yourself physically and mentally tougher. Everyone's comfort zone is different. So for some of us, expanding it means starting with drinking 1 less beer or foregoing dessert. Yet all of these little daily victories will bring us confidence later, especially when our lives depend on it. It's so much easier to do nothing, and it seems natural not to bother, but I tell you, these first exercises are essential in changing your mindset and eventually can be the very things that will separate the survivors from the victims. Here is a visualization I use. I like to imagine that pushing my comfort zone daily is similar to rolling a boulder up a hill. If I let it, the rock will always want to tumble back down and I'll have to start from the bottom again. Expanding the comfort zone on a daily basis will actually make it easier to get that boulder closer to the summit and to our success or ultimate survival. Comfort Zone Checklist. All answers need to be yes. Did I challenge myself today? Did I do something positive that my mind initially didn't want to do? Did I do something positive that my body initially didn't want to do? Can I do more? Now that I am out of the Navy and getting older every day, I continue to push my comfort zone by engaging in activities I did when I was in SEAL Team, including skydiving, shooting, climbing, and long swims. Instead of doing these things in preparation for a mission, I do them not only to maintain these very perishable skills, but also to keep my mind and body sharp. I still push the comfort zone, and know that this will allow me to be every bit of the warrior I used to be. Increase your physical toughness. SEALs say, it's hard to stay hard. Dying is easy. So I'm telling you to get in shape, but here's a different motivation that should make you finally do it. Ask yourself, is my body at a state of readiness that will get me through whatever might come my way? Don't like to exercise? You tell yourself there's no time, or some other excuse, and ultimately never begin. But imagine when the time comes, and those whom you love depend on you. How would you feel if you were unable to drag your child, sister, or father from a burning building because you were out of shape? Imagine if you were unable to outrun a mugger or a rapist because you were too winded. Achieve a better state of physical fitness. No matter what physical condition you are in now, it can be improved. Running and swimming will improve your cardiovascular fitness and will definitely pay off if you find yourself being chased or having to run from something like a wildfire. Pull-ups, push-ups, and weight training will obviously improve your physical strength and could come in very handy if you have to remove rubble from an earthquake that has collapsed on a relative. Rock climbing or surfing will not only improve your balance, but make you more comfortable with heights and being in the water, two things that are incredibly useful during a high-rise fire or flash flood. Take up some type of fighting or martial art because not only will you enjoy the physical fitness benefits it provides, but you won't be shocked and unprepared if you find yourself in a situation where fighting is the only option. There are numerous training programs available that can guide you and help you achieve a better physical condition. No matter if you begin by taking a daily walk or joining a gym, your motivation is more than weight loss per se, though that is good. You are also working to be better prepared to survive whatever may come your way. Improve your physical endurance, and it will provide the confidence that you can and will survive anything, under any circumstances. Expand your physical comfort zone, and you will become physically tough. When I was training to go to Bud's, I put a pull-up bar in my bedroom door. Every time I entered or exited the bedroom, 10 pull-ups. Every time I went into the bathroom, 25 push-ups. Simple, a little masochistic, and very effective. SEALs stress great physical fitness because it is an absolute necessity for mission success. The average person will never need to run with 100 pounds of equipment through the desert for several days, or jump out of a plane only to have to swim 3 miles in the freezing ocean before making it to the designated target. Then again, maybe you will. The sailors of the ill-fated USS Indianapolis never thought they would have to tread shark-infested waters for several days, nor did the Uruguayan rugby team that survived a plane crash ever imagine that they would have to make a 100-mile trek over snow-covered mountains to get out alive. In both cases, these brave people were able to survive not only because of their incredible mental toughness or mindset, but also because they possessed the physical ability to do so. Physical toughness checklist. All answers need to be yes. Did I physically challenge my body today? Did I elevate my heart rate and breathing today? Did I exercise longer or faster today than yesterday? Will I exercise longer or faster tomorrow than I did today? Increase your mental toughness. How do you achieve a SEAL mindset, which is what I call mental toughness? For me, I reduced the goal of changing my mindset to a simple phrase that I repeated over and over during Navy SEAL training in Coronado, California. Never quit. It actually really simplified things for me. Instead of being mentally consumed by every nuance, cold, heat, exhaustion, stress, fear, I just kept repeating in my mind, never quit. SEAL training has remained largely unchanged for more than 40 years because it simply works. It continues to produce some of the finest future warriors of any school in the military by using a very basic blueprint. 1. Break, beat, the individual down. 2. Build them back up, achieving a both physically and mentally tougher trainee. 3. Repeat, repeat, repeat. As a senior SEAL instructor, I used to tell my students, SEALs are formed like a sword is forged from a piece of steel, by constantly heating, hammering, and cooling by submergence in water. In the end, both weapons are ready for battle. Attack your fear list. SEALs say, the only easy day was yesterday, because yesterday is over. Physical toughness and mental toughness are branches of the same tree. By pushing yourself physically, you will be pushing yourself mentally. But as I said earlier, the brain is the strongest muscle in the body, and it requires an expanded workout program. Here is the quickest and most effective way to exercise your mental toughness, something that I call the fear list. Start by making a list of 5 things that make you nervous or scared. It could be heights, fighting, small spaces, or the water. Let's take public speaking, for example. I've seen some of the toughest guys in the world become gummy bears when required to speak in front of a group of people. Next, create a 5-minute presentation based on something you are very familiar with. Practice this several times by yourself, speaking out loud. Finally, you must organize a group of people, be it coworkers or an assemblage at a public event, and give your presentation. It may not be perfect, but you have just conquered a fear, and in doing so made yourself mentally tougher. Continue down your fear list, and you will see how quickly you can remove other fear-induced limits. This will give you more confidence in all areas of your life. Remember that living in fear is not really living. When confronting each of your fears, remember how SEALs train. Break down, build back up, and repeat. When you repeat these actions, even if you don't succeed completely the first time, the next attempt will make you mentally tougher. There are also some other simple tools for acquiring mental toughness. First off, I absolutely forbid whining or blaming others. Both are completely antithetical to achieving mental toughness. For example, the next time you go into a store and there is a long checkout line, don't moan. Instead, monitor how you can control your mind and force yourself to be patient. In fact, if impatience is your weakness, then that is your personal impediment to mental toughness. Instead, let the person standing behind you get ahead of you until your impatience has no power over you. Break, build back, and repeat. If you get a flat tire, get out of the car and fix it. If you run out of gas while driving because you didn't check your gauges or equipment, blame no one. Learn as you walk to the nearest gas station and back with a gas can in your hand, doing so without saying a word. If you get caught in the rain, remind yourself it's only water, and endure it until you have an opportunity to change into dry clothes. This is how you achieve mental toughness on a daily basis. Mental toughness checklist. All answers need to be yes. Did I identify a fear? Did I make preparations to conquer this fear? Did I conquer this fear? Did I move on to my next fear? Hell Week occurs during the first of several weeks of BUD/S training. It consists of 6 non-stop, hypothermia-filled, sleepless days and nights and is the time when most of the DORs drop on requests or quitters ask to go home. This training is the ultimate test of mental and physical toughness. We were trained to suffer in silence. We may have been cold, tired, and hurting, but nobody wanted to hear it. I will never forget when a nationally ranked triathlete in our class, who had barely broken a sweat in the previous weeks of training, quit on the third night of Hell Week. He decided he just didn't want to go back into the water. As naturally gifted as he was athletically, he had never truly been mentally pushed like he was during Hell Week. But I also remember another member of my class, a 135-pound skin-and-bones-looking guy who was one of the slowest runners and barely said a word. He continued on the rest of the week determined and made no sign that he was enduring hardship. I later learned that he had lived his entire life being put down for his size. Hell Week was just another week for him. That's mental toughness. Mental preparation. Again, the brain is the strongest muscle in the body. You've heard stories of how combat soldiers have been shot repeatedly, but were not aware of it until the fight was over. These stories are true, and the power to do such things comes from the mind and can be tapped into by practicing mental preparation. This practice can allow you to far exceed your physical limitations. Just as you train other muscles, you can train the brain with mental preparedness exercises. And you don't need to go to the gym to do it. It's an exercise you can do anywhere. I can't stress enough how important mental preparedness is for surviving and enduring any life-threatening situation that you could encounter. This is how you practice it. Emergency conditioning, EC. Make the unknown familiar. Using visualization techniques is a good way to practice what we call emergency conditioning, EC. I will highlight this phrase throughout the guide and explain the types of visualizations that are most effective in survival scenarios. It means conditioning the mind in advance of emergencies, thus producing psychological strength in times of crisis. This is also referred to as battle-proofing or battle inoculation by military personnel. Example, a soldier lying on his cot imagines a nasty firefight with the enemy, including what it will sound like and smell like, the heavy breathing, and the utter exhaustion. If the brain imagines something in deep and vivid detail, it will become part of a person's experience files. This visualization exercise will actually fool the brain into believing that you have already experienced this event. You can tap into these files at will by hitting the play button that starts the movie of what you have already visualized and planned. It will seem more or less familiar if ever you are confronted with a similar experience. This internal battle-proofing gives you an incredible advantage. Visualization. Make a movie in your mind. SEALs say, plan for success and train for failure. The movies we see on the big screen about special ops makes it all seem flawless. However, more often than not, our best plans went out the window once the bullets started to fly. This is when the training and diligence during our mental preparedness and visualization phases paid off. They give you backup plans to deal with any contingency. No matter if you are going to work or are in the mall, boarding a plane, or anywhere else, look around and take mental notes of the particulars of the place. Try to describe the exact details of where you are. This is the setting for your mental movie. Now, imagine what you would do in this fixed environment if something were to go wrong. In this book, I will explain the specifics for each situation, but for now, remember this key step in changing your mindset to one that puts you in SEAL mode. In your mental movie, play out various scenarios from start to finish. Begin by imagining the most likely scenario that you may find yourself in, focusing on what to do during a life-or-death situation, such as a home invasion, a fire at work, or being lost in the mountains. When I was a platoon commander after receiving a tasking, mission request, this is how I would do my entire mission planning. I would visualize every detail, starting with my men, the equipment, the time of day, and the weather, and slowly start my movie. I would hit pause or even rewind when I came to a place that I saw as a flaw or obstacle to success. I would play out all the various contingencies in my head until I could visualize any number of versions of events that might take place, working through every possibility. I would often rewind to make a correction, such as,
Sample complete. Ready to continue?